Chris, we've got a deck of cards here, 52 cards, 52 different locations, and here I have one prediction card. We're going to go for what's called a coincidence, but it's quite a mega coincidence. Okay, I want you just to put your hand on the deck here and just name the first number that comes in your mind between 1 and 52.
12.
Sure?
Yes.
Lift your hand up for me. Watch very carefully. I'm just going to take the cards out of the box. Nothing else in the box.
No.
Take hold of the cards yourself. Have a look through. You'll see that it's just a randomly shuffled deck of cards.
Very random.
Yep. Now deal 12 cards, in fact 11 cards onto the table, and deal them face up, and deal the 12th card here.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Deal the 12th
11,
card face down.
12.
Now that was a totally free choice.
Indeed.
There's no way I could have known you were going to pick number 12. Remember, this prediction card has been on the table since before we started.
Oh!
And they match, exactly.
Brilliant.
Hi, welcome to the Grail. The Grail was an effect that was invented by a good friend of mine, Mike Rose. Alexam purchased the rights to the Grail about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
we released
5
it.
years now.
It's been out a few times. The latest version had a DVD which had a performance and explanation on it. But since the time of release, we've actually changed it and improved it. And we've got different little routines that you can do with it. So we're going to go through all of the different routines and ideas with the Grail for you on this disc. And once you learn the Grail system, I'm sure you'll be able to use the system for many other routines out there. So thank you very much for buying the Grail. Okay guys, this is what you've received in your pack. You've got a black envelope. You've also received 3 cards, all with blue backs. And these cards are all the same. They may not be the 3 of diamonds, but they will be all the same. You've also got a 4th card which matches your 3, but that's going to have a completely different coloured back design. Okay. Now we're going to get the cards. This was the ones we used in the original Grail. So you're going to get 2 queens, Queen of Diamonds, Queen of Clubs, and the very special Grail false card, which is the double-ended Queen, clubs on one end, diamond on the other. So what we're going to do with these cards is teach you how to set them up in your deck and teach you the various routines, starting off with the original Grail routine. Okay guys, first of all we're going to teach you how to set up for the original Grail, and then I'll go through a bit of a performance with Chris with the original Grail. What you need for this is your double-ended Queen, your Queen of Diamonds and your Queen of Clubs, and you also need a regular deck of blue back cards. Okay, take out the deck, get rid of your advertising cards and your jokers, and the first job you're going to do is remove all the queens. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. The Queen of Hearts and the Queen of Spades you don't need, so you can get rid of those. The Queen of Diamonds and the Queen of Clubs. Just place them in 2 piles like that. At this point, just shuffle the deck up so it looks like it's all in a random order.
Nice. I want to comment here, even though you've got essentially 2 pairs of duplicates here, you can go on after this and use the deck for other effects, can't you, with the Grail? You know,
yeah, most certainly, because you can get rid of one of the queens anyway after the performance, so you're only really going to be left with 1 duplicate in there, which a lot of people carry in their decks anyway.
Great.
The other great thing, and it was a clever bit of thinking, was because the double-ended queen was designed with a black and a red, and you're removing the other two queens to replace them with these queens, your spectator's only going to ever see two red queens, two black queens.
Yes.
You know, sometimes when people stick cards in the deck, you end up with sort of 4 8s in the deck, so you're more likely to spot that. You know, you've seen the 8 quite a few times.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they see the cards go by, especially in the dealing, if they're doing it face up, you know, they're going to remember a red queen, a black queen, but not really specifically the suits.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so these are all mixed. Now, to set the deck up, you just need to deal 11 cards face up. Place one of your queens, another 11 cards.
And do you have to remember which queen you're placing where?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Just alternate them though, so when they go through they are seeing a red, black, red, black. Yep. Okay, now if you've done that correctly, you should have 4 cards left in your hand. Okay, and they're going to sit on top. From the top of the deck down, the queens are in position 12, 24, 36 and 48. From the face down, from this position, if you were to count off, the cards will be 5, then you would add 12, 17, add 12, 29, add 12, 41. Okay, so 5, 17, 29, 41.
Okay, and they're not too difficult to remember. I mean,
no, not at all.
I think we mentioned before that if you're just learning this, you could note them on the flap.
Yeah.
Just if you need a visual reminder,
But all you're remembering is 8 numbers, and the first 4 numbers are the 12 times table, so that's not hard.
Fairly
And the others is, as long as you remember 5, just add 12 to it all the time. So that's your basic setup. You're now set up to perform the original Grail. Now the beauty of this is they can look at the deck. You could stare at that and you're not going to see any difference. And when I perform this, and even when I'm performing it to magicians, and as we all know, magicians scrutinise things a lot more than a layperson would. You know, I hand the cards out, they look through the deck before the effect starts, and no one ever spots anything. So, right, I'm going to run through a basic performance of the original Grail with Chris. Hi Chris.
Hello.
Chris, we've got a deck of cards here, 52 cards, 52 different locations, and here I have one prediction card. We're going to go for what's called a coincidence, but it's quite a mega coincidence. Okay, I want you just to put your hand on the deck here and just name the first number that comes in your mind between 1 and 52.
12.
Sure?
Yes.
Lift your hand up for me. Watch very carefully. I'm just going to take the cards out of the box. Nothing else in the box.
No.
Take hold of the cards yourself. Have a look through. You'll see that it's just a randomly shuffled deck of cards.
Very random.
Yeah. Now deal 12 cards. In fact, 11 cards onto the table.
Okay.
And deal them face up. And deal the 12th card here.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Deal the 12th
11.
one face down for me.
12.
Now that was a totally free choice.
Indeed.
There's no way I could have known you were going to pick number 12. Remember, this prediction card has been on the table since before we started.
Oh.
And they match, exactly.
Brilliant. Oh.
And that's the original Grail. Okay, you've just seen the original Grail being performed. I'm going to run through exactly what was happening there. I was quite lucky on that because we got a direct hit. And Chris has seen the trick before, but I'm going to teach you what to do if they don't name one of your 8 false numbers or direct hit numbers. But you will be surprised how often they do name a direct hit. The one they seem to name the most is number 17. That comes up a hell of a lot. But the performance goes like this. You place your double-ended queen face down on the table. The way I do it is I always have the club facing me, or nearest to me.
Have you got this marked at all on the back, or you
No,
just check it
I just check it and put it down like this. And I know, I'll explain all this to you. Now, if they choose number 12 or let's say number 5, they're the first queens you're going to come across.
Yes.
Yeah. So if they choose one of the first queens, which you did, I was in that weird position where I have to spin the card round because I know clubs facing me.
Right.
But I had to know which. Now, if I remembered which order the queens were in, i.e. reds, blacks, red. So I knew diamonds were there. So I would know that if it's going to be the first queen, it's automatically a diamond. As you're dealing down, I can just spin that round.
Okay.
Whatever card you're going to land on, it has to be closest to me.
Right.
Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if you know I'm going to hit a diamond, you want the diamond near you.
I would spin it round and have a quick look. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is exactly what happens. For a direct hit, if they name 12, 24, 36, 48, 5, 17, 29, 41, everything's very, very clean. Show the box. Really make a point of showing your hands empty. Open the box slowly. Take the cards out slowly. Show the box is empty. Hand them the cards. Get them to look through them. Because the job's already done. I mean, you don't have to move any cards about. Now, if they name any other number, the beauty of this trick and the art of the Grail to make it convincing is there is a move. It's not a technical move. It's not a hard move. And it's something that should go unnoticed and unrecognised because if you make a point of it, you're just flagging
you're breaking the flow of the trick essentially as well, aren't you? And then there is a moment. I mean, the thing with a direct hit, it looks extremely clean. When you're doing this to, I think even when you do it at conventions, it still looks the same, even with the move. It should look the same, and when they backtrack it looks exactly the same. There's no difference in terms of like, oh God, there's going to be a slight, because it's not a slight, is it? No,
it's not a slight at all. And it's something that happens to most people when they're taking the deck out of a box.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
It's what's so clever, makes it psychologically invisible, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we're gonna show you basically what you're gonna have to do is displace cards. You're either gonna take cards from the bottom, put them on the top, or top, put them on the bottom. Now the beauty of this is you've only got to displace a maximum of 3 cards. As long as they don't pick number 1 and number 52, and if they did, you get to choose another number. Yeah. But if they choose anything from 2 to 51, the maximum you're going to have to move is 3 cards. So, Chris, just name any number you like between 1 and 52.
19.
19.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have to do a little calculation in my head. I go to my 8 numbers, my 8 memorised numbers, and I locate which one is closest to 19, and it's 17.
17,
Yeah. So I know we need to deal the cards from the face down.
Okay.
But I need to add 2 cards onto the 17 to make 19.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I do, I always have my deck set up the same way, and that is the back of the cards are here.
Easy little visual tip just to keep you...
and the face of the cards are here. So basically this is the move, and it's not really a move. I've got to move 2 cards from here to here. Right. So what I'll do is I'll open the box this way. I will tip the cards out. I really want to get this on there because it's not a move and it's very easy. Tip the cards out, and with my finger I will literally count 1, 2. They're pushed back in. Now I will draw the cards out and tip those on top.
It's such a clever idea.
So in real time,
so clever. And this is done, bearing in mind, as you're talking to them, as you're affirming what they've decided, what number they've decided. So let's do it
in real time. Pick another number, but in here, Chris, are 52 different cards, 52 different locations. Give me any number between 1 and 52.
20.
20?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
There's no way I could have known you were going to pick the number 20. Okay. Do me a favour, Chris.
Yeah.
Take hold of these cards, have a look through them.
Yep.
And make sure you're happy it's just a regular shuffle deck.
And you've done.
So that's it. I've loaded 3 cards on top.
Yeah.
It's a little bit awkward when I'm sitting down, but
it still works just the same.
Yeah,
There's no
you just bring them out. 1, 2, 3. Tip those out on top, and you're done.
Just to go over it again, almost if it might be over the top, but you're holding. Is there a specific thing you're using to push them back? Are you clamping the deck in place with one of them?
Yeah, I'll show you. So pick another number, and we'll work out a calculation.
36.
36 is a direct hit.
Okay, 38.
38.
Yes.
So I know I've got to add 2 cards from here to here.
Yeah.
Because I know 36 down, yeah? So for 38, open the box this way, tip the cards out, and your finger, I'll move you don't have to move the flap obviously when you're performing, but I'll do it just to show you. I tip the cards out, I make sure I've got all the cards here, and then I'm holding, with my index finger, I'm holding the cards tight, index finger and thumb. This finger will now go in and just count off 1, 2. And that's literally all I'm doing is pushing them back into the box.
Yeah.
Yep. So now I bring the deck out, and I come over and drop those on top. Yeah?
Yeah.
So in real time, to get the cards from the bottom to the top, we're in this position, I need to move 2, I open the pack, tip them out, count off 2, and then I'm back.
Great,
yeah?
great.
So that's basically it. So if you pick another number and we'll work out another calculation.
We'll go for 15.
15. So we know we've got one at 12.
Yes.
But we've also got one at 17.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so we're going to go for the easiest one.
Right.
So to get it at 15, I need to move 2 from the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 from the face.
2 from the face, yeah.
To the back.
Yes.
So once again, I go here.
Right.
I go here, count off.
2.
Take them out. They get dropped on top. Now, what I haven't mentioned, I think it is pretty obvious, but what I haven't mentioned is now, because of that situation, I'm going to get you to deal the cards face from the face up.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So let's just run through that quickly. So if you were to choose, you've chose number 15.
Yeah.
So this is how the effect would look. You've chose number 15. I come here, open it, tip out, count in, tip off. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I now ask you to have a look at the cards.
Right.
Just make sure they're all different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at this point, I would say to you, and do me a favour, just deal with the card. Leave them face up so we can see.
Because they're already in a face-up position.
Yeah. So leave
it
them
seems
face up
quite
so
natural.
you can see I'm not cheating you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're going to hit. So what happens when they hit? If you're in this position here, when they're dealing face up, you're obviously going to land on a face up card.
Yes.
Yeah? So all I have to do here is take it. I know the club is facing me because that's the way I'm always set.
Yeah.
I take the club, I push it under, and I turn them both over.
Okay.
And all that's doing is covering up that pip.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. And it's a very natural way to, just to show it, to display it.
Yeah, and if you're dealing it in the face down, the beauty is if they go past the first queen, or you remember the orders of the cards, you know, so you can get this in the position, and without even looking at that card, if it's dealt face down, you instantly know you can take it. You're in the right position to just turn them both over. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, if you want, pick this queen up at the fingertips and show it, but I just think as a display that's nice. The cards here, come here.
It's nice, it's very open, isn't it? It's a very open way of just displaying the two as a match, as you would do. And it's one of those things that Grail, I think that there's so many versions of sort of the card at any number, on the market, in books, videos, but this is so clean, it's so direct. A lot of them where there's displacement, there's a shift or a pass at some point. This is done before, there's kind of a switch off moment in a point in this routine. When you're taking the cards out of the box, people kind of just go, they switch off for a minute because it's nothing interesting is happening.
No, they're waiting for the move after.
Yeah, and then obviously because there's no move, you're directly there. It's just
I will say as well, we actually launched this about 4 or 5 years ago at Mindvention in Las Vegas, and I showed it to Paul Harris, the legend that is Paul Harris, and he kept bringing people up to the stand to see it and see it and see it. Paul must have watched it 20, 30 times, and if he knew how it was done or if he had worked it out, he certainly didn't let on because he just kept bringing people up to the stand. Needless to say, we sold out of this straight away. Yeah. It is so clean, it's so direct, there's no hokey moves, there's no weird selections.
No,
it's a card, a number, bang.
It is exactly the point, and you make a really good point there, because I think the card at any number type plot is fascinating to magicians. They seem to really be obsessed with it on some level, and a lot of the versions that perhaps people tend to like, magicians especially, are very convoluted. There are very odd selection procedures or limitations, whereas this is a version which is direct, and you could do to a punter, an audience, and it's very easy for them to understand. There's nothing odd or convoluted about it.
Yeah, it's just straight. And if you start off, the great thing as well, and you mentioned this earlier, is the fact that if you use this as your opener, even as just like a coincidence type effect, the fact is, I've got rid of one of the dupes now. These can go in my pocket.
Yeah.
And now I'm left here with only one dupe, and it's a Queen of Diamonds.
Yeah.
So I can go into any routine that, a 2-card transposition or whatever, where you need a dupe.
You could absolutely do that, yeah. You can absolutely use that later on to your advantage. And I don't think there's ever going to be a point. I mean, even if someone was to grab this now and start checking through it, there's not really anything really to find, unless they're being very specific. But like you say, the beauty is you can go on and use it again. And because you've remembered those numbers, because you need them for the calculation, it's not any difficult thing to reset it later.
No. So that's the original Grail. We're now going to move on and show you some of the versions we've come up in recent years. Okay, I'm going to show you the version of Grail that I've been performing now for about 2 years. The method is exactly the same, i.e. the calculation process, the cards are in the same position. All I did was make one little change, but to me, I just think it's that extra bit cleaner and more fooling.
Okay.
Now, basically for this, what you need to do is open a pack, shuffle it up, run through and remove all the threes.
So so you're removing all the cards that match the duplicates that have been supplied.
Yeah,
with,
sorry, yeah.
So this is the
so
three
if these
threes.
are sevens, you're going to remove the
Okay.
sevens. Yeah. The only one of these you're going to need is the card that matches your
Right.
dupes.
Yeah.
Get rid of these. Okay. And once again, you're going to place, obviously your odd back card kicked to one side, but you're going to place these 4 dupes in position. Yeah?
Okay, and the same as before, 11 down.
So it's 12, it's the 12 card.
In
Yeah?
the 12.
And because I know that should be 12.
That's from the 5th position now, yeah?
Yeah.
So essentially it's exactly the same setup, but you're using 4 cards that are the same as opposed to 2 that are 2 pairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, hang on one sec, because
I've got
got
the
to
queens
add
back in
queens
from
back
before.
in.
Okay.
I just thought that was a bit weird. So that should be the 5th
The
card
5th,
down.
the 3 of diamonds is 5th from the face, yeah.
Now we should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect.
Great.
Okay, these go in the box the same way. Now the beauty of this is if you place your indifferent card into an envelope. Now remember, this could be, you could write it on the back of a business card to make it seem sort of impromptu.
Yep.
If you wanted to do a sort of mind reading thing, you could say, now I'm going to ask you to think of a number at the moment, any number between 1 and 52, just think of it.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay, so on the back of my business card I wrote 3 of diamonds,
Great.
put it in front of you. Yeah, then I say,
Okay.
give me that number, bang, now you've got a miracle.
Into the
over
Grail.
there. Yeah.
I suppose the tiny touch that seems tiny about this is you're putting, although the queen is in place from the beginning on the other one, it's especially good for magicians, I suppose, if you're handing the card out because they've got this.
Yeah,
in
I
their pocket
get
now.
them to put that in their pocket or put their glass on if I'm doing it round tables.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do this round tables, this will be the opener, obviously because of the setup.
Yeah.
This will be the opener that I'm using, and I can just go into other effects.
Okay.
So put their glass on it, stick it in their pocket, whatever they want, but they hold on to it, and that's the beauty of it. So now you talk about 52 cards. Each card is in a different location within the deck. They can only occupy one location. Give me any number between 1 and 52.
9.
9. So once again we do the calculation. So the closest to 9 will be 12.
Yeah.
So I need to move 3
3.
from there, put them here. So once again you turn the box over, open it, tip out, count back 1, 2, 3.
Bang.
Yep.
Tip
Put them on
those
top. And now we're in position. So when they deal 9, I always ask them to deal 8 here
Yeah.
and deal the 9th card here.
Okay.
Yeah. And that will be the 3.
So
So
there's-
they don't look at that, they place it there.
Place down.
I say, do you remember I gave you the envelope?
Yeah.
Take the card out of the envelope.
So you get them to reveal this card first. This
Yeah.
one comes out first.
Yeah. Now I predicted you would choose
You've got the
the
3
3
of diamonds. Yeah.
Turn over the card you start tap. Bang, 3 of diamonds.
It's a real miracle, man.
Yeah,
isn't
and
it?
remember, you're not always going to be in this position because sometimes, half the time, you're going to be dealing from this side of the deck.
Okay.
So, obviously, if they've seen the 3 of diamonds, then the big reveal was the envelope.
So if they've seen it, yeah, then obviously the envelope second. This gets a phenomenal response. I think, you know, from an audience point of view, a general audience point of view, I think the effect is great whatever way you do it, but especially for maybe people that know a bit about magic, or especially when you're doing this for magicians. Not that you're out there doing it for magicians as such, but it's a real fooler, isn't it? There's something about giving someone a prediction ahead of time.
Well, the thing that I found, especially doing this version with magicians, is I hand them the envelope with the card in it. I get them to put it in their pocket. Everything seems so clean, so fair. When they've ended up with their card here and I say, look, get the envelope out of your pocket.
Yeah.
they want to hand it back because they feel I've got to do something.
And they think this is maybe this is gaff, maybe this has got a double, and they go to hand it back, but it's this kind of moment here where they're going, and they will look at this
because they're expecting you to do something. Something's got to happen because the first move is invisible to their mind. Nothing has happened, and they've looked through the deck. So at some point, something's got to happen, but the point is, it doesn't.
No, this is the point.
It's just so clean
and
all the time.
Whichever way, because like you say, the move is so invisible to them, and maybe even more so to a magician as well in a way. And it's important just to highlight again. I notice when you do it, when you do the move to displace the cards, you just get on with it, do it, and tip them out. You don't sort of make a big deal like, oh, missed those, and make a big fuss over it as if it's a kind of you're fumbling, because there's nothing worse than seeing a performer sort of fumbling anyway, but you don't make a big deal, you just do it. You just
to be fair, the first time I done it on this DVD, I think I did actually say oops.
Right, okay.
I never ever say that, so I don't know why I did it. But you're here, take them out, and just pop those on top. Yeah. That's it, you know. And it doesn't matter if it looks, you know, a bit messy. The whole idea is you've left a couple of cards in the box, and you're just going to put them on top. Nice. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It really doesn't matter. I mean, it's a bit... To be fair, I don't do this sitting down. I do it standing up where I've got
you've got the
movement and everything else.
More natural.
But I'm trying to sort of tip these out up here. But it's there, 1, 2, out, and then these will land on top. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, you say you use it as an opener around tables, but you could just as easily use it sort of towards the end as well if you wanted to. You know, I mean, you could pop the prediction. Give it to someone ahead of time. You could pop it. Some tables have these big ornate flower displays with the number on them. You could pop it in the number thing. Yeah. Have explain that it's going to be for something later, and maybe have people sort of come up with a number and switch it a few times throughout. And then when you get to the end, you get this final thing. You could have a business card in here as well. So he takes it out, and you're done and dusted. Card is It's a very good idea with the 4 duplicates. And in terms of where you go with it after that, I mean. What are you left with? You're left with 2 duplicates in the deck, so there's 3 cards that are the same. Yeah,
which once again doesn't really affect anything.
Not really, if you're doing sort of general kind of card tricks, ambitious card perhaps.
And if you were that worried about it, you could always just take them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretend you're going to get the jokers out.
Yeah, so get rid of the jokers.
Get rid of the jokers and you're done.
Great.
But there's really never any need. Apart from this trick where I get people to actually look through the cards.
Yes.
None of my other tricks I do. I might give them a quick fan.
It's really super. It's a really superb version. So I know, it seems very kind of simple, a simple idea when we're talking about it here to have 4 of the same card. But I know from seeing you do it in the shop, people have come in, you do it to a magician, they buy this, you do it this way, they buy it, they go home and go, hang on a second, how did he hand it to me? Because it's not something that obvious, perhaps. No. So it's great that you're explaining it here because it is a really, really nice handling.
So that's the Grail new way. Okay, this is a great version of the trick if you're doing a sit-down performance or you want a slightly longer performance or a competition piece or whatever it is. You need 2 decks of cards, a red, a blue. This is nice because it gives the apparent any card at any number effect.
Okay, so it's a nice, almost like a nice closing piece perhaps for a sit-down. Yeah. And you're using 2 people as well, so if you are in that situation, perhaps a parlour situation where you're sitting at a table and you get 2 people up either side, this is ideal for that.
Yeah, it's a great version. We've got 2 decks of cards. We're going to use you and Russ for this. Chris, just name any one of the decks.
I will have the red one.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay, so the red one for you, blue one for Russ. What we're going to do, Chris, we're going to have you select a card, just confirm it is just a regular shuffled deck. Yeah. They're not in any particular order. No. I'm going to ask you to reach in and take a card, but put it face down in front of you. Don't look at it just yet. Make sure Russ doesn't see it.
I'll have that one there.
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. And that was a totally free choice?
Yep.
Great. Russ, now it's your big moment. The blue deck of cards, there's 52 different cards in here. Give me any number between 1 and 52.
28.
28, are you sure?
Yeah.
Is there any way I could have known you were going to choose the number 28?
No.
Okay, perfect. Russ, just confirm that this is a regular deck of cards, just mixed?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just so you see everything as it happens, I'm going to show you each card individually, but you said 28, yes?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
Yep.
You sure? You happy with that?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So there was one card randomly selected from the red deck.
Yep.
Russ gave me any number between 1 and 52. If there is sort of any empathy here, if there's any connection at all.
Between me and Russ.
I've seen you both. Turn it over.
Hey!
And we've got the perfect match.
Empathetic.
Any card at any number, apparently.
Brilliant.
Okay, this is the explanation to the any card at any number, or apparent any card at any number. You would have your regular Grail deck. This one has got the dupes in it, like all four the same, so that's what it's set up for. Now, to make the false convincing, I could do a slip cut false, I could do a classic false, but when I'm performing this type of routine, because it's not something I will do table hopping, I will just have this deck in my case, which is a halfway false deck. The top 26 cards are 3 of diamonds, or matching my Grail deck, and the bottom 26 are regular.
Cool.
Now, whenever I need to fool magicians at conventions, I've got a couple of tricks like my card in position with the extractor, where I have to force a card. Now, the only thing that used to let that trick down as far as magicians go was the fact I had to force the card.
Yeah, because they recognise a false of some kind.
No matter how good you are, they recognise a false.
Yeah.
But by doing it this way, it automatically
just goes past
them off track. So this is perfect. It gives you know, a great sort of impression that it's a regular deck. Now, also, if you've got 2 people here, I was happy you chose the red deck. If you hadn't, I would have had to try to equivocate you, purely because Russ was behind the camera.
Right.
But in a 2-person situation,
it
makes absolutely no difference, because if I had a spectator here and a spectator here, I would say, Chris, which deck do you prefer, the red or the blue?
And the blue.
Okay, perfect. And Margaret, we're going to use the red for you. So there's no equivocating there.
It's really nice. It's a lovely idea. I think it's nice with a man and a woman as well. It's because you mentioned about sort of the matching kind of thing. You certainly put a very themed patter to that if that's your inclination.
And once again, this is really cool because you can get the deck out. You can show that they're randomly mixed. Just make sure you don't go over 26, but you never need to.
And to your average punter, after you've seen a few, you kind of switch off and go, it's regular. You don't need to count them all through. And
here, you just go through, but go through quite slowly, get them to take one out, because you don't want, once again, to run through 26. Yep, and that's it. Now we've forced the 3 of diamonds.
It's done.
And we know it's
now you put this deck back in the box afterwards.
Yeah, just get rid of it out.
Another thing you could do, I suppose, if you wanted, if this perhaps was an opening effect for you, is as you've put that away, as you speak to the person here for a number, you could kind of, and as you relax, ask them to name a number, dip in your pocket, switch it for a regular deck, which is minus your 3 anyway, a red deck, because you know what it's going to be, and just leave it off to the side, and then just not to prove it later, but then you can go into using that deck afterwards.
That's right, and this has been used. This has been used. The job's done, so you could quite easily just put it in your pocket and just bring it.
And then once you're done, to go into it, pop the 3 back in the deck, and you're ready to go. And it's really nice. So it makes it a very valid opener as well. And this is just the Grail deck with the 4 duplicates. Same method as described before. They're at the same positions, just displaced. Very nice.
Brilliant. And that's the 2-deck Grail. Right. This is something that I've performed a few times. It's a great opening stand-up effect. Now the beauty of this is you can use jumbo cards, which I've got my set here actually, or you can use your regular Grail deck. Now, to me, I would use it instead of like a tossed out deck. If I need someone up on stage with me to do anything, this is a great way to get them up, and it's
Well, it's a lovely, like you said, the tossed out deck is a very popular opening trick for magicians, mentalists, and so on. This, I think, could become equally as popular because it gets that. That very directly to an effect straight away. I think it's advantageous that you can use, the bigger cards because of the move. But also as well, I think this, for maybe someone that's maybe slightly newer to stand up, the tossed out deck does require quite a bit of control over the person, to make sure they're going through it in the right way. And people sometimes have a tendency to over-explain. It all seems a bit convoluted, whereas this is very direct, very to the point, and could be an opener for magicians or mentalists because it's not exclusively one, so let's go through it. Okay,
so the way I perform this is basically I use my RAM system to select.
RAM system.
I do explain it's a very sort of high-tech system.
Right.
RAM stands for Random Audience Member Selection.
Okay.
Okay, it's very complicated.
That's good.
It took me a lot of time to actually come up with this to make sure that there's no stooges used and no one thinks I can be using a Confederate.
You're going to ram them.
So I use RAMs, which is basically this.
Okay.
A rolled up piece of paper.
Yeah.
I throw it out into the audience. And I say, I want you to throw it over your head. Whoever catches it on the third throw is going to come up.
Great.
Yeah, or stand up. So
Yeah.
whoever catches it stands up. And I say, you know, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. It's John. John, do me a favour. I want you to come and join me up here on stage. But before you do, just name any number between 1 and 52.
Right.
So they name a number. Perfect. He starts walking up on stage. At this point, I'm just speaking to the audience and explaining that this deck has been on view, because this will be on the table.
Yeah, this could be in a little stand or something.
So before, you know, how can I prove to you that somehow I knew John would be selected? Blah, blah, blah. Yep. So John comes up.
Yeah.
I ask him again what the number was. I tip these out, go through the whole Grail routine.
Superb.
And it ends up on the 3 of diamonds. My force in here is the 3 of diamonds.
Yes.
And at this point, it sort of means nothing.
There's no effect so far, is there? You've gone through to the card that he's named.
I then say to John, I knew you would be selected, John. I knew you would choose the number 37, and I knew 37 would end up on the 3 of diamonds.
Right.
It sounds unbelievable, but I'd write you a little message. Do me a favour, open up the piece of paper.
There we go.
And on the paper that John's holding, it actually says 3 of diamonds.
That's excellent.
And that's it. But it's great.
That is
because
excellent.
The other thing, which is quite nice, because of the way you frame this and because of the way you say, John, I actually knew that on the third throw of the ball, you would be the person who would catch it.
Yeah.
I knew your name would be John. I knew you would pick the number 19, and I knew you would choose the 3 of diamonds. Do me a favour, open up the piece of paper and just show it. But because I said I've known your name's John,
I know.
When they think back to it, they will believe, or certain people will believe, that all that information was
on the piece of paper,
but it only says 3 of diamonds.
It's a superb idea, and to use something like this in a stand-up situation is just brilliant. I mean, the jumbo deck, I think, although you say you can do it with a normal size deck, I think it is almost essential to do it with a bigger deck, because you know it can be seen from the back a lot more. I mean, there's little tips when you're dealing with bigger cards on stage. If you're working in a big place, perhaps you know, a 3 of spades is going to stand out well because it's a black card, very iconic, etc. But like you say, there is that backtrack where they're going to think, hang on, was all that information on there? Because you could go back to person number 2, what number would have you said? You know, you'd have said this.
And the fact is, you know the information now. You know his name's John. You know he chose number 17. So once you've placed the 3 of diamonds there, before you've revealed this, and you say, now at the moment, John, you're wondering why you're here. You're wondering why you selected the 3 of diamonds. But if I told you that I knew in advance that on the third throw of that piece of paper, you would catch it. I knew John would catch it. I knew you would walk up stage thinking of the number 19. I knew number 19 would take you directly to the 3 of diamonds. Would you be impressed if I knew all that information beforehand? Yes, bang, they open it up, the 3 of diamonds.
It's really, really excellent, isn't it? And the
so
move
even
is
when
exactly
you
the same.
backtrack from that, by me proving I knew the 3 of diamonds, really proves I knew he was going to pick the 19.
Yeah.
So why doesn't that prove I knew his name was...
It's got that really nice sort of what if kind of thing to it as well, hasn't it? Because you know, you've got like, what if he'd gone with the person before? What if he'd gone for a different number? And also, it does, as well as being a great effect, opening effect, it does serve to get somebody up on stage without them kind of being too kind of, you're looking around, selecting someone and so on. And it eliminates, I think it's quite a nice, I mean the toss-out deck is a beautiful opener, so it's very time tested, but this is nice because it eliminates a lot of that kind of, a lot of the focus is within the audience with that initially. And perhaps certainly in slightly bigger venues, it's nice to keep the focus up the front and bring someone up. And you can go on then with them once you've got them up there. You wouldn't just sort of send them back now after that.
It would be a reason to get them up on stage. And it's a nice way to get into it because you've just proved you know all this. But if I know that, John, maybe I'll know this as well. Come over here.
And then you've got into something else.
Straight into something.
And in terms of doing the move with a bigger deck, I mean, it's just
exactly
as simple, easy. You're just tipping the deck out.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
Yeah, and it's actually quite.
It's
easier.
It's almost easier, isn't it?
You're doing exactly the same thing.
Pull that back so people can see.
So you're here, and just push off 1, 2, 3. These come out.
Yeah.
And then they get dumped on top. But remember, this is sort of happening as he's still...
Yeah, once he's up, and also I know it's a tiny point, and the cleanliness of the close-up version is that it eliminates any kind of suspicion of any sleight of hand anyway. But just the fact that you're using big cards as well, to your average punter, they switch off. This is not really a card trick to them in terms of you're going to be doing anything with the cards themselves, because they're big cards. You've got they're big because you're on stage, because you're up in front of people, and it's also very good. I mean, because you know, and on stage as well, you've got that. Luxury, you could have the numbers written in here. So if this is perhaps something that you don't do all the time, or you're a close-up magician and you're maybe doing a smaller party, you could have this in your case or in your car. Yeah. And without having done it for a while, just quickly have it here, and it's all there, straight to go. I mean, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a fantastic effect. The other thing to bear in mind is when they've chosen their card and the card's on the table, the next 3 of diamonds is not going to turn up for another 12 cards. Yeah. So you can say, look, you know, what if you chose number 18? You would have had the 5 of spades. Number 17, you would have had the 9 of diamonds. What if you went a few forward, you know? So you can really emphasise the fact that it was a totally free choice.
It's a really, really good idea. And this is, what you've basically got here is a jumbo deck and 3 additional...
Yeah, I mean, we actually sell these at Alakazam. If you have a look at the Grail product or just search for Grail Jumbo, you'll find these jumbo decks.
Great, and they're ready to go.
They're ready to go.
Fantastic.
And that is the Grail stage opener. Right, we've come to the end of the Grail DVD. So there's just a few things we want to discuss here. One of them is the Grail. You can do it impromptu with a borrowed deck.
Okay, now you mentioned this once before, so talk through quickly how that actually works.
Okay, what you need to do is you need to get yourself 4 outs. So whether you use the photographs from Heirloom, whether you've got the 4 outs written on business cards. Okay. Now the easiest way to do it is just pick 4 of a kind, let's say the 4 kings or the 4 threes, have them in chased order. So when you borrow a deck of cards during your performance, you've just got to place the cards in position.
In the positions, the number positions.
So now you can do the Grail with their deck. Nice. And then obviously what you can do is, I had actually Spellman made them up for me, which was a picture of me just holding a king. Okay. But he'd done all 4 kings, so I used to carry those in my wallet, and then.
And when so you do that? At what point do you bring that photo?
I would sort of open the wallet as you would do with sort of an assassin or something. You'd open the wallet and show a face down photograph, or with mine, which was pretty good. When they're in the wallet, you could see sort of this half of me, but the card was here, so you could see the top of the card, but not the full card anyway. So you can, I mean, basically anywhere you are, if you write it on business cards, it's great. Just have 4 business cards in your pocket or 3 in your pocket, and actually write the 4th one down, put it back in your pocket, and then you bring out the correct one later, so you're giving away a business card. But it's a great idea. It's a powerful tool really to know the Grail, because you can use it for.
Well, yeah, like you say, once it's in your memory, once you know what those numbers are, and I imagine, I mean, you've done it so many times anyway. You must get an affinity where when someone names a number that's not a hit, you pretty much automatically know how much you're going to shift.
I mean, I don't so much. I don't really have to think about it anymore. I mean, I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now, and it's just there. You know, you instantly know where you've got to go. And
the key thing to stress one more time is not to make a move out of that displacement, because it's not a sleight of any kind. It's just do it and just.
And the other thing as well, which I'd like to point out, and this is more for the card guys out there, now people that can full shuffle will mostly think it's a great idea to take the cards out and give them a couple of full shuffles. It's pointless, because as soon as you start shuffling the deck, you're actually, or you could be putting cards into locations. The whole beauty of the Grail is the fact that the cards come out of the box and it's done.
Straight into their hands.
If I start shuffling,
you're kind of defeating the object slightly, because although you might not be doing any control to your average spectator, they think you're a card guy and you're doing these type of things. And I suppose the key thing of that as well is it makes it very approachable for maybe people that mentalists that don't want to show card skill, even if they do card stuff. The Grail's ideal because it's a card effect. I know you're getting into that territory of cards and mentalism, but it's a very direct effect, and you're essentially never really touching them
and that's taking them out of the box. It's just supposed to be clean. It's a prediction. It's clean. The other thing that I've used the Grail for, and it's the version where you have 4 duplicates in there, is I perform obviously my card in position with the extractor. Yeah. So sometimes I'll use that to force the card.
Okay,
that
so
I
what
need to get in
you'll start
position.
off with that effect at the beginning.
Yeah, so I'll have the red deck out, and I'll say, you know, a lot of magicians will get you to pick a card like this, but sometimes, you know, they can maybe get you to pick which one they want.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just get you to name a card, but there's obviously popular cards that people name all the time. So we're going to try something completely different. Now, in this way, if you can full shuffle, it's worth giving them a full shuffle, because you say, we're going to pick a card at random. In fact, give me a number, any number between 1 and 52, and then you deal down to that number. That's the card they're going to use. That's the false card that you can now go into ambitious card and different routines, but then you end up with card.
So you're not using it for the Grail effect, there you're using it as a force.
As a force.
But if you're going to sit down and do maybe a card out where you end with this card in position, it's perfectly valid to do that, because it's, you know, you've got the time to go through that phase, and you've got good justification there as well in terms of.
And you could, you know, if you wanted to build a big routine, you could sort of have, you know, if you're doing a parlour performance or a competition, you could have an envelope with your prediction, let's say the 3 of diamonds. You could start off by asking them to name any number. You deal down to their number, they get the 3 of diamonds, you go into an ambitious card or whatever you want to do. You end up with card in position with the signed card, but then as the finale, you say, but remember, you named any number to start with. Nothing was done with the cards, but you count it down, that envelope's been sitting here since the beginning. Open it up, you will choose the 3 of diamonds.
That's really nice.
So you've got a really nice big full circle. So you could structure a really nice routine out of.
Yeah, you certainly could. So you could use it as part of a longer piece for sure. It's a really good thing, the Grail. Like you say, it is more of a kind of a tool, a system, if you like, for want of a better word. Because once it's in there, the impromptu version is great as well. Because you know you're on the fly, you can set it up and get it ready to go. And it's a very, very impressive thing. And we were discussing before. You know, if you're perhaps, I don't know, in a situation where you're in a meeting about perhaps something you're potentially going to do, a magic gig or something, it's a really nice trick to do, because it's not getting too into, you know, standing up and doing lots of kind of moves with cards. And it's a very direct, very impressive, kind of impossible thing that's, you know, you can play really, really kind of really nicely.
Brilliant. So that's it. That's the Grail. There's a few different versions on there for you to use. Try them out. My particular favourite for close-up now is the single card in the envelope, which works really, really well. If you do stand-up magic, try that one with the rolled-up paper, because it really gets a great reaction, and you've got yourself a spectator up on stage. So thank you very much for buying the Grail. I hope you enjoy it. You'll see some other trailers of some of our other effects on this DVD as well. So yeah, enjoy.